I was grown up in Mogadishu, Somalia. I have a family in Somaliland. I'm originated from Somaliland. Yet, for the past 25 years, I've been living in the UK. That means I have attachment with 3 different countries. I'm made here home myself, yet I'm attached to my home country, Somaliland. When I came to this country, I didn't want to migrate. I was forced to, because safety is paramount. Safety is very important. In this country, I came as a refugee, although both my grandparents worked in here. It's very fascinating. When I look back that, I grew up in Mogadishu, and when I see that actually is at the moment bombs exploding everywhere, is sad. Even my friends actually, they're all over the place at the moment, in Canada, in Australia, and we get in touch. When we talk about Somali culture actually is not only dance and music. It's more than that. It's a poetry. It's a rich culture. It has a mythical stories like Arawelo that we used to talk about when we were very, very young, interpreting that to them. Or the riddle is the Somali riddle. Actually, it is fascinating. Sometimes I share with my young students and translate into English, and some of them, they try to solve it. And honestly, it's totally different what they have in the Western world. Somalis, whenever they talk or actually engage in conversation, you will see them using poetry verses and proverbs. The way we talk, the way we actually make gestures. We make a lot of gestures. We actually stress every single word. That makes us be loud. People think we are rude, or maybe we are fighting with each other. We are even having a normal conversation. That is the real Somalis. That is what's being Somali. We stress every single word. Yet we speak very fast. Regardless whether you believe Greater Somali to be together, whether you believe Somaliland, whether you believe in Djibouti, or Ethiopian Somali or Kenyan Somalis. I think the advantage that has taken place over the past 20 years has actually shed light the weakness of the Somaliness, which has a political connotation, Bristolian. That's why I consider myself to be. Political activism in Bristol is something actually unique about it, and I like that. Religion is my guidance, is my faith. Islam actually guides me.
Home means somewhere you feel safe. That is what home means to me. Bristol is my home. After the fall of Siad Barre, the former president of Somalia, Somalia was not safe anymore. We left to get a place where we feel safe. That's why we ended up in Holland and then here in Bristol. I was born in Mogadishu, a very beautiful city, and the memory that I still have is the blue beaches and the white sands of Mogadishu. Songs are very important for me. Culture is very important, especially the way the homes are constructed. I think we have a language with its dialectic diversities. We have one language, and that is very unique. I know a lot of Somali songs, and I do sing. Nafijail sayado seman salasho hurdadan sehan. That was my favorite song. It is about a love story. Somali Nimo is coming from that part of the world, Eastern African, the Horn of Africa, and being able to link up with any kind of heritage from that area and being able to speak also that language. The Somali Nimo is different from the politics as it is unfolding right now and unfolded last 20 years. And if you go to Mogadishu, you have Somalians. And if you go to Jigjiga, which is part of Ethiopia, they are still Somalians. This is the Somali Nimo. Living in Bristol, it is big city. It's a city where you can find whatever you want. It's also a city where we as Somalians have our own identity and our own way of thinking. It is a city that you can be whatever you want. That is why I like being in Bristol. Somaliness and Islam, if people see you and they know that you're Somali, they automatically assume that you are Muslim. And that is an indication that there is no difference between Somaliness and being a Muslim.
Why did I leave Djibouti? Primarily to educate myself, for education purposes. For me, home is a place where I most feel comfortable mentally, where I see myself living there for the rest of my life. Djibouti, my home. All my family are there. The uniqueness of being a Somali is because we're so different from other cultures, the way we dress, the way we eat, the way we talk, the way we behave in around us, the togetherness and helpingness of helping other people. Helping each other out. Consider every Somali as your brother. This is what is so unique about Somali. It's togetherness. Speaking one common language, coming from the same sort of area, which is the eastern part of the Horn of Africa and the eastern part of Africa, being in the same regional, geographical location, sharing the same sort of language, and then sharing a bit of culture-wise as well. So this is what I call, what is Somaliland, and actual physical features, the way we look as well, the actual location and the language that we share all together. This is what Somaliland means to me. I'm really thankful for the actual warm welcome I've received.
I left Somaliland because of the civil war. I see Bristol home because that's where I grew up. That's where I spend the most of my life. But I also see home in Somaliland, where I simply won't forget my early years. Somali means to me speaking the Somali language, dress in the Somali way, food, clothes, poetry is elements that makes me feel of Somali culture. I feel like the Somali community have got that connection where they watch out for each other, where they can talk to each other, where they can share situations, although they may not related or know each other. Because of the civil war, it has affected the Somali people in terms of the way that they identified themselves within all Somalia.
I was born in Bristol and I've lived here all my life. When I was 8, I moved to Somaliland for about 2 years, just so we could learn the language and learn the culture. So memories in Somaliland is just basically going to school there and figuring out the language barrier there, because me and my sister, we both went and we were there without our parents, so we only spoke English and everyone there only spoke Somali. So just trying to figure out what each word meant and just learning on the go how to speak the language really. So we adapted really well, communicating with our grandparents, communicating with everyone else and whatnot. My mum's cooking, the way she cooks traditional Somali dishes is one of the most important things, so we just love her cooking. We get friends over, so non-Somalian friends come over just to get a bit of her food. Somali food is a very important element to me. I really like how we have clans and tribes in Somalian cultures. It just brings us all closer together and makes us identify each other, wherever we are. We can just say what tribe we are and we just instantly have a connection with someone else that we never met before. So when I think of Somaliland as family is the first thing that comes to my head. You can be Bristolian and Somalian at the same time. Personally, I've got the Bristolian accent and the Somalian features.
I left Djibouti in 2002 to pursue the love of my life, but also to get my higher education outside of Djibouti. The whole culture, Somali culture is appealing to me, and I wouldn't change anything from it. Yeah. But the part that I like is the richness of the Somali way of life and, values. Somali people are always relaxed and calm and always happy. Wherever situation they are, they're really grateful. Now they are perceived as Somalis are always refugee or immigrant, pirates who are touched by war and famine and who have nothing. And that has impacted on, how Somali people perceive themselves. I am Somalian, of course, indeed, ethnically. I'm from Somali ethnic. I am Djiboutian at the same time, and I am Bristolian because I've been living and contributing to Bristol and British society in the last 14 years, and I am really proud to be both. I have been really welcomed and I had the chance to go to university, to work, and that's thanks to Bristol. I love living in Bristol, and I would never in a million years change or go to another city, but apart my home country.
I've lived in Bristol for 23 years. I feel at home in Bristol. I feel at home when I'm home, the traditional meaning of home, which is, I guess, where you're born. So I'm home here, I'm home there, but neither are my permanent homes, or neither feel like home properly. If I'm here or Somaliland, I'm not a proper Somalilander because I'm not there all of the time. I didn't choose to leave Somaliland. My family left when the war was happening, and I guess they came here because it was safer. The most beautiful part of Somali culture is the importance of family, and I think that comes from the fact that the majority of Somalis are Muslims, and how much everyone takes care of their family, not just the immediate family but the extended family. The good thing is Somalis don't differentiate between your first cousins or whatever. It's all just family, and how hard they work at maintaining that. And I think it's becoming more difficult to do that. But when you go back home and you see cousins you've never met welcoming you with tears and excitement, and really kind of excited to see you, then you just remember the beauty of family. We eat bananas with everything, absolutely every meal you can have with a banana. For me, my primary identity is as a Muslim. So being Somali is secondary. Bristol is my home. What don't I like about living in Bristol? The great lush accent, the lovely attitudes of the people, the beautiful city, the fact that there's just so much variety in terms of there's just everyone from everywhere in Bristol, and it's just so diverse and beautiful. I absolutely love Bristol.
I left Ethiopia when I was very young. I was taken to Mogadishu, where I started school, and I moved around in the south. I left south in 1988 when the war broke out in the north. And as a result, I fled Somalia, came to Egypt, left Egypt, and then came to England. I came to London first for, I think it was 5 or 7 days in detention for screening. I think that was the custom for that particular period. And back in 1995, I came to Bristol. Home is where you consider to be your soul place, really. And I consider that to be Bristol. I have all my family in, I don't know if I could call it Somalia, is the other side of the border of Somaliland. It technically is Ethiopia, but it was part of Somaliland before 1954, and still enjoys a close relationship with the Somaliland people. I'm emotionally attached to that part of the world. I have various memories. I mean, when I was young, things were different. We were a village in the border, and things, were just normal. I can remember my, family, my grandfather, my family. I can remember that. And also when I left and I went back and went to the south in Mogadishu and Baidaba and all those, I have different kind of memory. The culture and the land, both different. And since I came to England, I went back in 1995, and after that I was just going there every year. And between 2009 and 2012, I permanently stayed there because my father wasn't very well. Until he passed away, and I came back. So, like I said, I'm very attached to the place, and mainly is the other side of the border.
I was born in Bristol, so I've lived here all my life. I've been to Hargeisa, which is where I'm originally from when you look at my ethnicity. So I've been there and back quite a few times. Home for me is Hargeisa, Somaliland. I feel like the Somali community is very underrepresented when it comes to media and other major aspects in society. So I do tend to celebrate any events that represent the Somali culture. For example, the Somali Week Festival. One of the main elements that is important to me have to include poetry and literature. Somali people are very talented when it comes to literature and poetry, and the fascinating thing is how Somali songs you would dedicate to either someone or a name, and all the lyrics have to begin with the letter of the name of the person. So for example, Osob, everything would begin with O. It's amazing, and it's something that I very much respect and value. The main thing that's unique about being Somali has to be tribes and clans. From someone's way of speaking, the dialect, you can tell what tribe they're from. Immediately you feel connected to them. Instantly your family, you have a new family member. That's what makes us unique. It makes it distinctive. I respect and admire the bravery, the courage and the determination that our older generations have gone through to make Somaliland what it is today. And the fact that they have had blood, sweat and tears to get this far, I think that should be celebrated. I can now identify myself as a Somalilander, and I hope our generation carry on the legacy that our older generations have left. So the older generations have done the work for us in making Somaliland again, and now our younger generation need to work hard and put Somaliland on the map.